Is there any story that jumps out at you from your time with Leslie?
Yes. Yeah. It was frightening.
What? Tell us about it.
So, part of it, and I think this speaks to the experiences a lot of people have when you start deconstructing this sort of forward-facing and outward-focused sense of personality, identification, thoughts, the pathways that we use to see the world, experience it in a coherent way, start to unravel a bit when you start tapping into these deeper layers of consciousness that are largely formless. And so at the time, the sense of personality began to dissolve into what now I understand as this term shunyata, or what is poorly translated as emptiness. It's really more so an experience of profound openness without content. It's an awareness that is full and yet has no form to it. And so the first time that happens, the first time that I really noticed this, all of a sudden I thought, where am I?
Where were you when that happened? Was this like, had you been studying for a while? Was it like a week of practice? Did it happen for you right away?
Yeah, not right away. It was probably about a year or so into it. And I just dropped into that space. It happened when I wasn't trying to facilitate any kind of state at all. And boom, there it was.
Were you like in a meditation class, or it was just you were walking around?
I was actually practicing. I was in meditation at home. This was in California. And it was like, where did I go? I disappeared. And almost immediately I came back. I reified this notion of reconceptualizing who is Chris suddenly returned in that fear response. And this is part of, one of the things I write about and I teach about is something called an extinction burst. This is actually a clinical term that psychologists use sometimes for people experiencing panic disorder or anxiety disorders, where your fear will peak, it will start rising. Anybody who's had anxiety knows this feeling. You start out feeling uneasy. Yeah. Your body contracts, your heart rate maybe starts to speed up a bit. And on your way to a panic attack, these symptoms are just like continually increasing until you hit a peak where the fear is at its highest. And that usually happens right before you sort of relax a little bit. And that peak is called an extinction burst. Now, the next peak isn't far behind if you have sort of panic attacks.
Does it go like it goes up and then it comes back down, and then it goes up higher?
Sometimes it might, yeah.
Jeez.
And so what I've done is adapt that process to meditation practice and say, this is exactly what the ego does sometimes in meditation practice, where, it doesn't want to die. No part of us wants to die. And so the ego itself, as a process, not as a thing, but as a process that reifies this sense of self and needs certainty, and it needs this kind of self-grasping. It's natural. It's not necessarily anything wrong with it, but it protects itself. And so when we disappear, all those fears, it's a similar process as the extinction burst. The ego peaks out and tries to draw us back in. And so part of the key in meditation practice is not taking the bait, because just around the corner is a deepening of your meditation, is an opening. And the ego knows. It's like, wait a second, we're right at the edge of the cliff. Let's jump back, as opposed to let go.